Check, check, check. Check, check, check. All right. I'm wearing a mask today. In case you're wondering why, it's because I went and did a camp in Colorado, and so having traveled, I'm wearing a mask for a few days till we know that I'm clear of any danger. So, because I have to work here with Cy Miles, and I don't want to get him sick. In case, stuff. Anyway, that's that. In case anybody's wondering, we're going to start class in 5 minutes. I have a few questions to answer today. I'm going to try to speak up loudly because I got to talk through a mask. Sam Miles and I are going to kind of stand on opposite sides of this mat. I got to come up, or he's got to come up. We'll walk around. We'll talk. It'll be wonderful. It'll be fun. We'll have a great old time. Yeah. You two have all reversed up. All the this and the all right. All right. We're going to get started here in a couple minutes. For those that are joining us, recognize that while we do live stream to YouTube, that's a temporary thing. So right now you can watch us on YouTube. You could also watch us on our group. We have a net online community. That's where I want everybody to be watching. That's where we're looking for people commenting and comments coming up on the live streams, and so we can communicate and answer questions. We don't really see the live chat on YouTube, and when our community has got live embed video options, we will go to that, and we won't be on YouTube anymore. YouTube will be for more specialty videos and things like that, which is really what it's good for. So, not necessarily a live stream 12 days a week. Yeah, I know. All right. So I'm going to check, and then we're going to get started. So hold on. All right. As people join in, I'd like it if you posted you were here on our community group, on our live stream page, if you guys could do that. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to oneworldma.com, we have a community group. You'll see a little button down in the lower corner, and it's a little blue bubble of speech. You click on that, it'll take you to our online community. You can also click to the community link at the top. And in that community, we have a live stream group where you can go to our live streams, and you'll see a video there, and it'll say live stream on like for today. It'll say 7:20 because that's the date, and 6:30 p.m. Central. You see the video embedded in there. You click play, and then you got us. And we'll be live streaming, and then from there you can ask questions and all that fun stuff. All right. Oh, we got a couple questions to answer today. And we'll get started in about 2 minutes. We're just waiting for people to come join us. All right, so welcome. Simons, every once in a while we can just kind of refresh this to see if anybody shows up and then any things come up. But all right, well, we're going to get started. Okay. So it's time. We've got a few questions to answer, not a lot. So we can do a little bit of training today, which would be nice. Probably drop back and review a little bit. Want to talk a little bit about some adaptations that everybody can do, but also we want to go over a few core things that we want to talk about that are a little bit more advanced today. We have some questions about slightly more advanced stuff, so we want to answer those. Let's begin by bowing in. You ready, Simons? Mm-hmm. Teacher, keep your arms up. Teacher, bow. Okay. So let's get started. Simons, do you have any questions that need to be answered today? I got one I want to start with. You got anything? Not much in particular. Not much in particular. Okay. Well, one, I was gone for the week, and that's why I've got my mask on, because I was gone for a week and I didn't get back till Sunday night. Today's Monday. It can take 3-4 days for symptoms to show up, and I don't want to get this guy sick. So I'm wearing a mask. He's wearing a mask, and we're staying 6 feet apart. These are 2-foot squares. So we're just doing this safety today, and then for the next 2 or 3 days, I'm going to stay at home and live stream classes from my house just to be safe. That's, I think, a responsible thing to do. All right. The problem with this one is it's moving around a little bit. I'm trying to get it set so it doesn't fall on my face while I'm training. All right. So that's the first question. Where was I? I was in Colorado. I was doing a camp. They're not nearly as hard hit as Texas. Their summer camps we're allowed to go on. And I had plans to do one, so I went up there and did it. Okay, I'm back. Let's get to work. The first big question I had asked was more theoretical, and it was about our extended step and our half stepping. But the question was about the extended stepping and half stepping in conjunction with the short stick. So here's the deal. This is actually pretty simple, okay? The stepping is the stepping kind of no matter what. So if I have a foot forward and I'm going to be moving with an extended step with the stick, just like punching where I step and punch at the same time, boom, I'm going to be doing the same thing with the stick, right? Because the universal skill sets demand that we're doing the same thing. Step into the strike, okay? And bring it back. Now, the question, of course, was about movement of the body. They were having trouble connecting upper and lower because adding the stick adds a level of complexity. But it's not that much because remember, when we put our stick in our hand, our arm is now just extra long. And we just have an extra joint. We have an extra length of our body because our stick is an extension of our body. Okay? All right. So the half step or the extended step is exactly that. Step and up. Foot just stays apart, right? Apart and in. So when we start doing the short stick, if we've got our stick, I got it in my left hand, you put it in your right hand, and we've got our stick up here where we start. In the drill, we keep coming back to our shoulders. Now in the actual conflict, once the stick's out here, it's going to stay out here and move around. But we still need to move our feet in a realistic way. So chopping is pretty simple because the chop has a definite start and stop and a recovery. Every chop has a recovery like a punch. Boom, boom, boom. See my shoulder extending in? Boom, 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 right? If I recover like the drill shows shoulder to shoulder, boom, 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 right? I'm still just extending my step. Extending my step, right? Extending my step, and connecting the foot and the stick. That's fairly simple, all right? When we get to the slicing, where body movement matters, the feet can move with every strike, but that's not how we start, okay? Now, reminder, if you're just joining us, type in and let us know you're here. Now, for slicing, I like to start with 1/2 step to 2 moves. Step, slice. Okay? Step, slice. Step, slice. Step, slice. And as you get faster, you'll notice that my back foot covers the second slice. Okay? Step, slice. Slice, slice. My feet start moving. So it's still a half step, but now I'm throwing 2 strikes in with one hand. So instead of left, right, okay, left, right, I'm going left, right, okay? But it's still the same punching concept we're working with here. Left, right. And it's still the mode of impact. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? Boom, boom. So you're still bringing it in because that allows you to turn your body to drag the slice through your target, which you have to do. Slicing requires that turning of the body. Okay? Letting the body do the work. Let the body do the work. Okay? All right. So that's the main thing we want to talk about with the extended step. In a chop, your chop is essentially replacing a single punch. Boom. Okay? Your slice, 2 slices per step. Boom, boom. That's really the only real difference. It's still just an extended step. So that's why we like to do the chopping first. Get good at chopping with the right foot forward and the left foot forward with your half steps. And then when you get to the extended step for the slice, you can start throwing in 2 strikes with one hand. Okay? Boom. Boom, boom. Right? Boom, boom. All right. So hopefully that answers your questions about that half step or that extended step. Now the question didn't say they're using 2 sticks, just 1. So that's why we stuck with just a single step. 2 steps is a little bit more, but it just builds off of that. It's really not overly complicated. Okay? Now, let's talk about the seated practitioner who at the exact same time everybody else is learning to step forward and step back, has to learn how to work off to the side. Okay? So the main difference there is you're in your seat and you're going to work the side of your body. So instead of any half stepping and instead of working and covering your whole zone here, you actually have your chair that is part of your protection, but it's also a spot that you've got to worry about, someone reaching in and grabbing your chair, lifting your chair, tilting your chair, or grabbing your wheel or moving it around. And so when you get to the side of your body, you have to be able to lean trunk-wise this way, back and forth, and turn here on your spine. So that's the big difference once you start working to your side. You've got to lean with those chops off to your side, but you also have to turn in a chair. Okay? Let me show you what I mean. So when I get into this chair, I'll move it up in front here. So I'm still more than 6 feet away from Mr. Sia Miles here. And I'm working off to the side. As our mobility, fully mobile students are starting to move forward and backwards in half steps, we're starting to adapt to start working our sides. So when I'm working here, first I'm doing my chopping drill here and everything's great, and that's fine. Then when we want to get to the side, it's a little different because we're opening up. So now that the pointer has to come out here, we have this, what I call pseudo protection. It does get in the way. It does help protect you, but this isn't, exactly a bulletproof glass you're sitting with here. So you still have to worry about somebody grabbing your chair, lifting you or kicking you or coming in through. So you still have to be able to work your whole range. But now I've also got to extend. So I've got to do this, and this one comes here, and this protection hand is now more important than ever. So while everybody else is trying to figure out how to connect their lower body with their upper body, you need to figure out how to connect and protect yourself to the side. Okay? I'm driving down. Okay? And chopping up high. And chopping across high. And then chopping down low, right? So you got to cover a whole very wide range of ranges. And the slicing, you got to chop down here and look at my body turns. But if I get all the way over here, it's too far. See here, that's fine. I'm crossing my body and I'm slicing the front. Once I get out to the side, if I get all the way to here, it's too far. So my slice will come down and stay right here. And that torsion of the body is this motion right here. Okay? In and out. In and out. If I go too far, what am I doing? I'm rocking my chair. I got to be careful about that. In and out. In. Right? In and back. Not in and away, but down and down. And across and across. And my stick stays out here between me and the bad guy. And that's going to really work this arm.
And bear in mind, you might have more range of motion, you might have less. It really depends on you, and it also very much depends on the type of chair you're in.
And lest we forget, everybody's got a strong side and a weak side. So you might be really good at it over here, but you might not have control here. So if you can really rock and roll on this side, great. From a self-defense perspective, you're going to face people this way if you can. If there's any way to work from the front to your right, great. But if your left is very weak, you can't always pick your side. So this is a side that needs more work slow, with full range of motion and recovery and strength building. So it's slower and it's more about physical development than it is about self-defense, let me beat you up. But you have to admit that to yourself. Just like a fully mobile student that might have really bad balance standing on one leg, you've got to admit that you have to develop the balance before you can use those techniques in a real self-defense situation. We have to look at everything we do very realistically and understand that saying you need work is the first step of a good thing and growth. Saying you need work is not an admission of incompetence. It's not an admission of inability. It's an admission of where you are right now, where you got to go. And you don't know where you got to go if you can't admit where you are right now. And boy, wouldn't our whole country be a little better off if people could start to admit the reality of what was right in front of their face? He says while wearing a mask. Okay? Maybe we all need to stop the politics and think about the reality, because we're supposed to be working on self-defense. And maybe a self-defense person should be willing to look at the reality that's in front of them and not what they want to see. And I'm not saying that's a political side. I'm saying that's everybody. And everybody needs to be willing to say, maybe I'm wrong. And let's see who's right. Because maybe you ain't right. Listen to the science, listen to the facts, listen to your instructors, listen to the experts. They're experts for a reason. Political discourse over. Okay, so moving on. Let's see. I got so caught up in my mask story that I hadn't planned on talking about that now I got to come up with a question. I can't remember what my question was. Somebody joined in?
Hey, Chris. How's it
Hey,
going?
Chris. How you doing, buddy? Good. Chris, if you have any questions, ask. I'd love to answer some of your questions. You're right in the mid-range belts. I think it'd be fun. We just did a mid-range stick conversation there about movement. So if we want to stick with the mid-range belts, I know you're getting ready for your blue belt. Any questions you got, feel free. Don't hesitate to ask. In the meantime, that jogged my memory of what I wanted to talk about. Okay, let me get this stuff out of the way. All right, I'm going to set my stick aside. Simon will clean it before I put it away. All right. So one of the questions I was asked by a student who recently submitted his belt test evaluation video was asking about, well, all the little things that can slide beneath the cracks in a video format. All the little things when I'm staring at 10 squares on a TV instead of being right in front of you. And the question came out like this: how technically proficient do I have to be? Right? Which, of course, is enough to make an instructor's head explode. The answer is as technically proficient as you can be, and if you're not technically proficient enough, you don't pass. Ugh. But I got what they were saying. What they're saying was, out here training with us in here, I could correct I could guide class, I could shape it, I could say, wait a minute, we all need to do this, everybody do this activity, and the activity might take up 400 square feet. But on the mat, and then on the video, I'm like, everybody stop, put your right foot forward, put your hands up, and now let's just do the movement. And that's really what my student was asking me. What about the flow of reality, as opposed to these short start and stops we've been having to do for months? And that's a great question, because we're training in limited space. Many of us don't have but a 6x6 square to work in. And so the flow isn't realistic. If we fabricate a flow, step back, Simon, if we fabricate a flow so that I have to stay in my six square movement and I'm moving in and out, right? It doesn't actually take into account the realities of movement. It doesn't actually take into account the realities that most likely we're going to have at least twice the space. But what if we don't, right? Then we start training our whole training regimen on a 6x6 square, which by necessity means you're learning things for really, really tight quarters that are not, strictly speaking, relevant or required for bigger space. So let me make sure you understand what I'm saying. If I taught you you had to fight here in a 6x6 square, your strategies and tactics would be very different than if I said you have everything red you see here on the video to fight on. You can stay in the whole big square. Your strategies and tactics would be very different. The techniques capable of being employed are different. Some are the same. Punch is a punch, an elbow is an elbow, a knee is a knee, right? A headbutt is a headbutt. But the strategy here is close and destroy, because you don't have a whole lot of choices with anything else. Evasion is not going to work for long in the 6x6 square. So you're going to evade initial attack to get in close to prevent big bombs dropping on you, and then you're going to break down your opponent by attacking whatever you can get to, which in a 6x6 block is pretty much everything. You're going to be able to grapple, you're going to be able to trap, you're going to be able to do nasty little self-defense things, okay? Whereas if we can move and parry and try to get away, which is what we're always talking about, requires more space. And so your movement patterns are different. We have a saying in American Bondo, in the Boer system, they say the Boer likes fighting in a phone booth. The Boer would thrive in this area of 6x6. It'd be a little big for him. He'd want to step in and get closer. Do the elbows and the knees and the headbutts and the fighting in the phone booth. Okay? For those of you old enough to know what a phone booth is. But this would be a death trap for a cobra. Okay? Not that he couldn't survive, but boy, he better hit hard and hit fast. Because there isn't a whole lot of movement around here to get away from. So that does change how we train. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that at some point, while we're training in the videos, and we're training in our 6-foot squares, and we're practicing moving around and keeping our eyes on our opponent when we do movement-based drills, our stances or steps, our punching movements, we're working our shadow boxing rounds, we're working our sport, we're working our movement with striking combined, the free-flowing and that stuff. At some point, you need to find a bigger space. And this is what I told the student. Does your front door open? Then go outside. But it's Texas in July. Yes, and at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. on a summer vacation, said the high schooler. Yeah, at 9 a.m., it's not going to kill you yet. Get a bottle of water and go train for 30 minutes on your movement only. And then when you want to work your akas or your drills, come on back inside. You know, but you need some space. At some point, you need some space. That's why technology has gone to the point where you can take this video with you on your phone. It's not as good as a TV, but at least you got it with you. So you can't just work in 6x6 because that's not the reality. And if you don't ever train in a bigger space, you're never going to learn the tactics and techniques of evasion and mobility. And we are a mobility-based system. So the answer to the question is, get your 6x6 square, train in your 6x6 square, But every once in a while, open the door and go outside. Go to your backyard. Train on an uneven surface. Train on grass. Train on mud and dirt. Train in, well, maybe not train in a stone if you don't have to, but train in different environments. On hills. Okay? Train around trees so that there are things in your way. Please don't go around hitting the trees until all the trees in your yard die, but move around them. That is actually really important if you're using your brain and thinking while you're going, because the second you step off this mat, holy moly, everything changes. Suddenly it's not just the drag step that's super important, but suddenly everything's important. Staying on the toes and moving around, being able to back up with your hands out, being able to move in, being able to move off line and circle and arc. Suddenly makes a lot more sense than this. I'm just going to hop because the teacher told me to, right?
Remember what we say, like every year in anti-bullying month, we say like, hey, this space inside here, it's real nice, it's pretty darn flat, there's not a lot of things to run into. Train in different environments, going outside, training in a yard, training, well, it's.
And even then, how much space do we use in anti-bullying month with our kids in school? The whole floor. Because anti-bullying is about preventing bullying, getting away from bullying, and then setting it up so everybody knows about the bullying so that the bully can't continue to do it to you. Only in the last step do you have to fight the bully. But when we have 5 rules of anti-bullying and 2 of them are about going away, how do you go away in a 6-foot square? Right? Practice anti-bullying. Stop. Leave me alone. Go away. Stop. Okay, I'm going to move on. Right? That's not realistic. Right? You got to get those hands up and move and get somewhere. You got to move away. So that's for those of you that have enrolled in the youth program and you've seen the anti-bullying. For self-defense, it's about not getting stuck in a corner. And here I just gave you 4 corners 6 feet apart. How are you not going to get stuck in this corner if somebody cuts you off? Of course you are, right? Now it's good to train that, because what if you are in a small space when self-defense hits? When you find yourself in that space, right?
Inside somewhere and someone starts having a problem with you and
you made a couple of mistakes in your environmental and situational awareness, and you allowed yourself to get caught up in a tight space, like maybe at a small bar where you weren't supposed to be in the first place. Not saying you can't go out to a bar and have a good time.
right now
I'm telling you that you can't in Texas, but I'm telling you that 3 out of 4 violent encounters happen involving alcohol and drugs. So no bar, 75% safe. Anyway, but maybe you're grown up and you like to go to bars. Well, you might be in a small space. All right, the end. You made your choice. You made an informed decision. You've trained. Try to get out the door, right? Self-defense is about not fighting. Self-defense is about not getting hurt. And if you fight, there's only 3 things I can tell you for sure. I can promise you. If you fight, it will be fast, it will be scary, and it will be painful. I can promise you that. I can't promise you anything else. It'll be fast, it'll be scary, it'll be painful. Okay? And when I was younger, I used to work in a violent environment for money, for a living. I used to work security and door and bouncer and all that fun stuff. And every fight I was ever in was fast, it was scary, and it was painful. Even the ones I won, which was most of them because I was the employee. I was expected to, and I had friends who helped me. Wasn't like I was Roadhouse, also something most of you are too young to know about. Doesn't work like that in real life. But anyway, I digress. My ADHD took over there for a second. So the mobility question is just that. You must find more room to move mobility. Everything I teach you, you can do right here. But it's contrived. At a certain point, if I'm going to be involved in an encounter in this space and I can't go past there, when this guy comes in to grab me, I'm going to grab him and, oh, look where I'm at. I'm out of room. That's it. We're done. But hopefully I've got him on the side, and then I can drive him into the wall, and I'm in charge. Okay? If we have the whole floor and somebody comes at me like that, I'm going to do this and back away and make sure everything's okay, and I can go away.
If someone tries to come at you on outside the bar, or out on the street, as opposed to inside
Right.
the room.
right? It's
Practice that too.
one of my favorite things in the world. I've always said, if you have an argument in the bar, but you fight outside the bar, you've made a profound mistake as far as self-defense martial artist goes. If you had an argument in a bar and you're able to get outside the bar, you should be far away from the bar. If you're not, it's probably your mouth that's getting you in trouble. Okay? All right. Cy Miles, I have a question for you while I back up. Cy Miles, the pop and the lock seems to confuse many of our students right now because we're working our ACAs and we've trained the pop and lock with punching and blocking drills. But in the forms, people are going, well, I want the pop and the lock. Could you show us an idea of pop and lock in the point form? How we can pop and lock with the L stance, the N stance, that H stance with our driving blocks while we step. Would you explain that to everybody? Popping and locking.
Right, so, a lot of people, when we're training our forms and our drills, when we start getting to those higher levels of understanding, when we start getting to the point of saying, okay, you know the order, you generally know the technique. Now let's try making sure that we're able to like pop and lock to impart that power, and that tends to confuse people because they kind of get stuck on this idea like, oh, I gotta like drop my weight down, I gotta like stomp almost, and you do have to drop your weight. That's true. You do have to like impart that brief moment of power, but you don't necessarily need to be stomping. A lot of folks just feel like, oh, my foot has to make that sound. I have to make sure that I'm, and you don't really have to. The main thing is that we are like dropping our weight down to the ground as long as your knees are bent, as long as you're making sure you're going fast, you're going strong. Well, remember, technique, then power, then speed, of course. But so long as our knees are bent, we're going nice and strong, then you don't necessarily need to think about it. It will eventually come on its own. Of course, when we're practicing it, it helps to pay attention to that, going through, focusing on it.
Did you hear that? You hear that little pop when he punches? That's his heel popping on the ground.
Just make sure your weight is towards the front of your feet, not up on your heels.
Right.
You gotta make sure our knees are bent, make sure we're going nice and strong, and just drop your weight on the ground.
So Cy Miles, you're saying when you step forward, you need to step onto the ball of your foot, not the flat foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can let your heel what?
Then you can let your heel drop to the ground as you turn into your strikes.
So you can let your heel drop to the ground as you block and as you punch. Okay, good to know.
Yep. One thing that's very common is everyone around here, we're used to just kind of walking around, like, oh, like I'm going around, like a lot of folks walk heel to toe. Some folks like walk on the balls of the feet, but we got to train ourselves in martial arts to stay on the front of our feet because we got to make sure that we don't fall down. We got to have good balance, and if we're used to kind of heel toeing a walk, a lot of the folks especially, we got to make sure that we don't let that translate into our forms. We got to make sure we don't let that translate into how we do our half step because we see a fair bit of
flat foot half steps, right?
back foot. Yeah.
Good. So I have an idea. Since we've got about 15 minutes left, why don't we go through the 9-count blocking drill with pop and lock, and then I will go through the chopping drill with half steps so that we can all practice together. Everybody at home, do with Cy Miles, follow along. If you only know 3 or 6, do the 3 or 6, and then try to do 7, 8, 9 too, and it's okay if you can't. Don't freak out if we ever do a sequence or a series of movements or drills that you don't know. Because we built up from the baseline, everybody who's watching here right now has at least had access to blocks 1, 2, and 3. Do those.
Yep.
Try to keep up with 4, 5, and 6. Make mistakes. Laugh at yourself. Whatever. And get to 7, 8, and 9. Go. Roll your eyes and go, this is ridiculous. Try anyway. Okay? Same thing with the chopping drill. If you start a two-handed chopping drill, a two-handed short stick, and I'm going into chopping, put a stick in your hand. Follow along. We tend to go relatively slow here in this class. But if you can't keep up, who cares? It's okay. Give it a try. Let's see what happens. Let's do the 9 count. Focus on what's supposed to be happening. Suppose you don't know blocks 7, 8, 9. Well, guess what? We're not learning the blocking drill. We're learning popping and locking. Just do 1, 2, 3 again.
Yeah.
Just do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? But work on your pop and your lock. Go ahead, Simon. I'll take you through it.
Nice.
Slow and strong.
Now, make sure you're in a good position. Bend those knees. Make sure that hips up nice and high. And also, most importantly, because we're really working on the popping and unlocking, make sure that your weight is on the front of your feet. Try not to go right in the middle or on the back of your feet. Then those knees. Remember, when you lean over, that's when you want to drop that weight on that leg, and that's when you can really let that heel drop down to the ground. It's all about dropping that weight. Try to think, my weight's on my front. When I lean over, I can drop that down. X. Overhead block right.
Pop.
Overhead left.
See which foot it is? It's the opposite foot.
Opposite. And X. Outside block right.
Left foot pops.
X. Outside left.
Right foot pops.
X. Low block right.
Left foot pops.
X. Low block left.
Right foot pops. The heel.
And open. Now, this one, there
Different.
isn't going to be a prop. There isn't really going to be a pop. And when we get into movement, you aren't really going to see as many pops for these because by necessity, you got to keep on moving. You don't have as much time to really pop and impart all of that
And remember,
power.
that's right. So remember in this one, it's a cat stance 90-10. 90-10 or 80-20.
Okay. Cross, left.
You can still drop that heel down. It's just not going to sound very loud.
Open and X. Hook block right.
You got the pop. The pop happened with the low block.
Hook left.
See that? That pop is the same point as the low block. Then you hook the arm.
Cover drop. And sweep right.
Pop. Oh, listen to that again. Pop. Pop. If you don't have 2 pops in that one, you're not coming back online.
And sweep left. Let's go slow for that one. Sweep left.
Pop. Pop. Oh, yes, that's beautiful. That's it.
And open. Here's one that really won't pop as well for this one either. And crane right.
Yeah, how are you going to pop that? Don't worry.
Yeah. And open. Crane block left.
Keep dropping your weight, though. Settle in, keep the knees down.
Yep. Make sure that support leg, the leg that's holding you up, is nice and bent.
You know where I like to hear the pop in that one? I like to hear your foot slamming behind your knee. That's a pop. Do that one.
And X, right over left. This one is going to have another 2 pops in it. Now, try not to go up and down. For this one, you want to go down, down. Right over left, and paddle wheel. Switch, and paddle wheel. X. Now this one, the triple block, where one foot pops, the other pops, both pop. And cover right,
Pop.
slip left,
Pop.
straight.
Double pop.
Cover left, slip
2.
right,
Double.
and 2.
All right. So that's pop. So I might just step out of the way. I'm going to kind of work at an angle here for everybody. And I'll just kind of come over here. Now, I'm going to work with my left foot forward. You work with your right foot forward. We get a short stick, please. And we're going to work on the half step with the chopping drill. And we're just going to work on connecting our foot with our strike. Okay? Just like when we step and jab. Boom. Boom. Okay? The step and the strike happen at the same time, and the back foot trails up. So we don't want to do this. Boom. Okay? We want to do this. Boom. See the back foot? Okay? So we're going to do that with a stick, too. I'm going to go at an angle. So everybody put your stick up on your right shoulder, hold it with your right hand, put your right foot forward. I'm left-footed, of course, for mirror image. Put our hand up here. As we step, we drive in with our number one strike, which is a short punch. Punching with the butt, turning the fist in, striking with the face. Okay? But we want to connect the step. Ready? One. Step. Right? There you go. Let me put it on this side. We'll keep going. Ready? Two. See how the strike and the step happen at the same time? Three. Four. You see how the moment of impact doesn't quite look like I'm connecting because the stick chops into the target. I don't go to someone's head and stop. I go to someone's head and push through. Okay? I don't do this. I do this. So it looks like the stick is still moving, but that's where my eyes and my muscle memory starts taking over. I know where the head is I want to hit. And when I hit the head, the stick keeps going. But I haven't hit the head. Boom. Continue and back. Okay? So we just did 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please, everybody get ready. Get focused. We're going to do 5 and 6. You ready? It's 5, 6, 7, 8. Ready? 5, 6. See, my feet and strikes are connected. 7, 8. Okay, I'm trying to exaggerate it for you, so you can see it a little bit better. Stay where you are. Face me. You ready? 9, 10. Now, when we drive in, we're still stepping in. 11. Right? And then 12. All right? Connect them together. Let's do 11 and 12 again. Okay? We're underarm. 11. 12. Feet and strike. 13. All right? Try to connect them together. Try to connect all those moves so that the strike impacts at the moment the foot lands, but then it drives through. Okay? Remember, we don't hit just the target. Okay? Here's my target. Here's my pre-strike, my strike, my post-strike. Okay? Coming around from the side. Pre-strike, strike, post-strike. Drive through. Here's my target. I'm going all the way to here when I hit. Here's my target. I'm going all the way to here when I hit. Pre-strike, strike, post-strike. Boom. All the way to the other shoulder. Boom. Okay?
Just be careful of underswing or overswing.
But that means the foot has to be at the strike. It can't hit here. And it can't hit here. Too late. Too early. Too late. Okay? It has to be here as it follows through. And here as it follows through. Okay? Here as it follows through. Okay? But the strike has to go through the target. Okay. Let's do that one more time. Little half steps. Hands up. From the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm stopping and exaggerating because I was about to walk off the camera. So I'm stopping and exaggerating so you can hear the strike and at the same time it's hitting. Okay? That's what I want you to work on. That was one of the big questions today. Popping the lock is a big question. The other one, get outside.
Yeah.
Work movement drills outside.
Train in different areas.
Train in different environments. Train on different surfaces. Train in shoes. Train out of shoes. Okay? Self-defense. We train in shoes always. Because in all likelihood, you're going to be in a self-defense situation with your shoes on. You might not. Late night, scary, horrific home invasion scenario. The word, the one that winds up in movies all the time. You might be in bare feet. You might be in bare everything. But I don't recommend going outside and training in bare everything. Okay? Just, wear your clothes. Come on. All right. I'll just leave it there. Okay? Now, I'm going to put my stick down. And Sam, are there any other questions you can think of?
Honestly, a lot of the questions that I've been getting in classes all last week and stuff were largely about forms and new things. And honestly, I'm pretty proud of a lot of folks and where people are at, because most of what I'm seeing is not misunderstanding. It's more of a Rust starting form. It's practice, and honestly, the only thing I can say to really help you with that is we got our videos online. We got our resources available. We have an email that's open. We got these live stream questionnaires here. So
I want to also say something, because that's a great thing. We are putting and instituting an easy way on our website at One World Martial Arts, an easy way to schedule a Zoom private meeting. Some of them are called private lessons, so you can take a lesson with me, or you can take a lesson with Cy Miles. But we also have something, 15 minutes. You can schedule for free a 15-minute consultation with Cy Miles or myself. You don't get to pick it, by the way. We pick it.
Yeah.
But you have an option to type in what you need, and I'll go, oh, I'll take that one. Or Cy Miles will go, oh, I'll take that one. And you can schedule a 15-minute consultation for free, okay? And we'll help you. One-on-one. We help you, but you only get 15 minutes with us, because we're probably going to be inundated by this. But you can also sign up for a private lesson of 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You can start getting, we have several students that get 2 private lessons a week. We have some private lessons that take 1 a week for a month. And you can do that as well, so that you can do that temporary to get over the hump of something you're struggling with, or you can do it regularly as part of your training regimen if you really want to get into this and you really want to get some stuff done. That's absolutely something else you can do with us. Along with those coaching options, those meeting options, we are also going to offer a special program for people who are getting ready for their belt test, if they're a little nervous about their belt test. Again, completely unnecessary and not required in any way. But if you're really concerned, this program is for people that might be feeling a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And so it's not just a program of 4 private lessons that also include your belt promotion test done live, which it does. It will also include daily emails that will give you links to little videos about breathing exercises, anxiety-reducing strategies for life and work and training, how to deal with test anxieties, just some subtle help and hints that way, just to give you some extra activities to do to help, especially the breathing exercises. We're going to have a lot of breathing exercises to help you get your body under control, but also some modern thinking on how to work with your anxiety, to open yourself up to why you're being anxious and how to process that and deal with it. Because that's part of what we're supposed to be doing here. We're supposed to be overcoming the adversity that's manufactured from inside of us as well. So that's a whole different program, but we're also going to be offering that, and it's going live in a week.
Yeah.
That'll all be available next week.
We've had a lot of folks in particular comment that, hey, this Zoom stuff, it's cool, but you know, I feel very camera shy. It's one thing to like see everyone, but it's one thing to kind of do it in front of a camera and everything. I'm very
Right.
shy about that.
Or videotaping themselves. I don't like videotaping myself. Okay, it's cool. So we got this option where you can go as long as a month. We call it 1 month to belt test. It's a 1 month to belt promotion program. But you can schedule your 4 lessons as quickly as you want. But we've got it set up so that you can basically get a daily email for about a month. And the little help building you up towards the 4th private lesson, where we will actually do your test live. I'll sit down with you, we'll pull the lesson up on a Zoom, and I'll say, okay, let me walk you through your test. This is your test. Let's test. Okay? And that's all included in that little package.
For those of you who just had the thought of like, I know how to get into this system, it immediately, if you just get your belt test, we're gonna need some time before your next evaluation, okay? Because you need to make sure you learn everything in between.
Yeah.
classes.
No, it's not 1 month to get promoted. It's 1 month to take your test.
Yeah.
And we're going to help you maximize your chances of promotion. Now, if you just got promoted, you don't know what you need for your next belt, so don't waste your time on mine. All right. Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
All right.
I know a few.
I know who you are. Not you, Chris. You're awesome. Feet together, arms up. Tissue. Down. Good job, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. I hope those questions were answered to your satisfaction. See you all next week.